working microphone? That's great. What time is it? Woo! It is time to start. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about some of the stuff that has basically been my life for the last couple of years. And I'm Meek, by the way. I'm a designer for Lego. I do some product design and a lot of concept design. You might know me from such classics as Lego Boost. You can't really see Bernie here, but that's Bernie. VOLTRON. I worked on the Dragon Dance set together with Nico, and then lastly, the bus that comes out today, actually, which is one of the reasons I'm here today. I like to build mocks. I come from the fan community, so I have a tendency to build a lot of stupid stuff. Not as much anymore as I used to, because when you build for your work, you get built a little bit less for fun. And I have some other hobbies too. I like to draw, and I like to paint stuff and build model kits and that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit about me. And so we're going to start off with a little bit of talk about VOLTRON, because that's one of the biggest undertakings I've ever had to do at Lego. So this model started off on Lego Ideas with 10,000 votes. As you might be aware, Lego Ideas is where people like submit their own ideas, and if they're popular enough, they go into consideration for production. So this one, when it reached 10,000 votes, basically the majority of the design department was like, absolutely not, no can do. Too big, too complicated, no way. Which is when my boss Sam, as you might know him, Sam Johnson, he built the first version of this together with me. There we go, there he is. So this is one of the first versions that he built together with me, because he knew I was very interested in this. We tried to basically internally push for this to happen, because there was a lot of people saying no, and there was mostly just us saying, absolutely yes, we need to do this. So we made a version. It needs some work. It was drawn on, and it was basically very roughly put together, because most of the thing we cared about was the structure. Because before you announce something or Lego Ideas, you need to make sure that you're absolutely sure you can make it. Because if you don't, you're like, hey, we're gonna make VOLTRON, and then like 3 months later, it's like, oh, never mind, actually, we're not gonna make VOLTRON, guys. Sorry about that, because we can't actually make it work. So that's when we started working more, doing some more loops on this original version. So these are some of the first ones that Sam and I worked on together. And these are some of the ones that we then took to the Model Competency Center. This was a side project that we did. In case the big 18-inch VOLTRON wouldn't work, this is a potential backup where we made a smaller scale one. So this is actually made by John Ho. No, this was made by Joe Kai. That one is made by John Ho. And that one I made. So basically we had a couple of designers that were really excited about this to back me up in case the big one would fall through. Because this guy works for Model Quality. He is in charge of making sure that when we make a product and you play with it, it doesn't just shatter. And even after 10 years of standing on shelves, it will still hold up to the quality that we hope to bring to people's homes. So what he does is he takes our precious VOLTRON and he puts them in an oven for an undisclosed amount of time at an undisclosed temperature. And what normally happens is with a big model like that, it kind of just disintegrates. So as a result of this, we did a lot of loops, but our model competency center was not ensured enough that they could produce this and not have a huge amount of quality complaints. So they put it on pause. They told me, we can't do this. We'll hold on for now, which is why I went into another review session for Lego Ideas, which is exactly when my summer vacation happened. And I came up with an entirely new version that used some of the techniques that I developed together with Sam, but basically going back to completely the beginning and trying to re-innovate in a way that taking out all the Technic, because Technic normally causes a lot of flex, and with a lot of flex, it results in the system pieces coming apart, with the Technic staying there, and it results in a lot of bend. So a model this size has a lot of bend in it when you have a lot of Technic in it. So if you've ever built a VOLTRON set, it's mostly system, especially over the length direction, because any movement at all in the length makes it so that it bends over a little bit more. Next one. So once we knew we could do it, and we had announced it, we were like, great, everything is great. And then we realized that you need to go through the building instruction process, which is where you make sure that people can actually build it, because you can make anything stable, making it actually buildable for the appropriate age mark is the hard part of the job. This guy is one of the most experienced building instructions guys I've ever worked with, and he's ridiculously skilled. And he's worked on basically every LEGO idea set since then. So anything that you're building right now from LEGO Ideas, this is the guy that did the part where he made all my insane steps that I thought of, like these, into pictures so you can build the sets yourself. So these are just some of the examples of crazy things we have to do to make things buildable, as it's called. There's a lot of color coordination, which is why you stack a bunch of colored plates on top of each other. There's a lot of making sure that you build the whole thing flat all the time, which is why you put that a little piece of the line underneath it so that he sits nice and flat, so you continue the rest of the build of him at a rate at which you're not knocking it over all the time. And then the last one is one of the safety ones, which is if you build the set, these cross axes on this back, they go on very, very late because their length is kind of dangerous. And if somebody were to build it, leave it on the table, and then later, as LJ joked about today, walks around and falls face first onto the toy, he could poke an eye out. So that's why these are put in as separate modules to then put the wings onto. So that way we prevent potential safety hazards. That gave us a new version that we were all happy with, all departments in LEGO were happy with, and that left me some time to actually do some design work and kind of fine-tune it. So some of the main things that bring this product to reality are the shoulder, which uses a small Technic turntable that's rotating a small bionicle gear that rotates a VOLTRON. So the good thing here is normally click hinges have the click, right, which you think would be a good thing, but what happens with a model that has a lot of weight on it, it creates momentum. So as soon as it clicks one click, it's going to go the whole way, because it doesn't care, because it's got that movement and it's got that weight, therefore it has a lot of momentum and it just keeps going. This joint, however, has continuous friction, so no matter what point in the position it is, it will never slip away entirely, which is why we managed to use it for the arms. At some point there was a model that used this for the hips. That was scrapped because it was still not strong enough. Next one. Alright. So as you saw in a lot of the earlier versions, he had a very straight stance. Both of his legs were just like directly going into the ground. As a guy that watches maybe a little bit too much robot anime, it's very important you can do the cool stance, right? Like the imposing robot stance. And that angle has to be so shallow that he doesn't just like look like an idiot like this. So this angle is not a system angle, as we call it. So we don't have any pieces that just let you make that transition naturally. So in order to do that, I made a really stupid workaround where I used a 5-long plate to extend hinge brick, which is actually on the top. You can't see it because the lighting is a little bad, but that way we have a floating triangle that's locked in by one side, and it lets me create an angle that's built at a system, so strong, and it's at a very shallow angle. So these two things are some of the most important things for making those hips stand, because that's where like almost 1.5 kilos, I don't know how much it is in pounds, I'm sorry, European. So that's how that holds up. The ankles, of course, because we couldn't do knees. Early on, we realized we couldn't do knees, and the ankles we needed for transformation purposes. So in order to go from this line form into this leg form, I had to make a joint that was similar to what we had for the hip, where it's just like strong and in place. So I made a joint that consists out of a bunch of existing Lego pieces, where it has a clip here in red, as you can see, and a bar here. So this entire section rotates up and snaps into the clip, forming basically what is a normal Lego connection. So there's 2 of those in each of the ankles, and that is what holds the entire VOLTRON up, because it's a clip into bar connector, which is extremely strong, that rotates around this cross axle here. So that way, there's no friction in between it, but in both positions it snaps in place, and therefore we have 2 really solid positions that this line will be in. Graphic design is an important part of most LEGO models, and in this case we have Mark, who himself is a big VOLTRON fan, so he's very excited to work on this. He did a deco for the, wow, that really doesn't show up. The one I'm most excited about is right here.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you. I think my mic.
You lost your mic.
Turn it off. Turn it off. Okay. Thanks. Try rebooting.
Oh, there we go. We got it. No, it seems to be back again. So let me tell you, this 2x2 round with mechanical printing on it, we wanted to make sure that I love building mocks, so a lot of the color changes and a lot of the prints that went to this set, I kind of try to keep in mind how you can use those. I love building mecha, so this is a really cool piece that you can just use for your own robot to create like a cool mechanical detail on it. Middle one is the lips. So initially the whole face is printed for VOLTRON, but we want to make sure that the face kind of matched the design style of the lion heads, because the lion heads are entirely brick built. I decided to build the face out of bricks as well. And the only thing I couldn't really achieve was those luscious lips that VOLTRON has in a lot of the promotional material. So we ended up printing that, and that is actually the first time that part was printed. So we had to properly set up the equipment to make that, and that was a whole ordeal, and it was great. And then of course an exoshield for the detail on top of the black line allowed me to build a flat surface on top that locked everything together, but also had a lot of detail to it. And then my favorite part, of course, drum lacquer. I ended up having a lot of frames to drum lacquer a lot of pieces. So I ended up drum lacquering, I think, 7 pieces specifically for this set, and that on top of the existing ones made it so that I could really achieve that like classic toy look with a lot of the kind of shiny metallic surfaces. You want to continue watching this? Sure. All right, so here's some of the. Oh wow, skip that step. That's not how it works. Yeah, it's there. So this slide is to illustrate, basically, this whole VOLTRON thing came all the way from the fan designer, and then all the way through LEGO. And what's the most important part about this part of the presentation is that I really want to stress how much of like a team effort this is, much like VOLTRON. We come together as one to make a product, and I think that is really that really makes me excited to go into work every day and work with people that are so motivated and talented. To every day try and push the limit and see if we cannot do that thing that is considered impossible, like making an 18-inch tall VOLTRON. That concludes the VOLTRON part, I think. There you go, there he is. Woo! Thank you. How much time do I have? Oh, we're actually looking really good on time. That's great. Once I start talking, I have no idea how much time passes, so next slide, please. As some of you may be aware, we're releasing a new thing today, which is called The Hidden Side, which is a project that I worked on since almost its inception. I was around while it happened, and then I got on board as soon as they needed models to be built for this LEGO theme. So that was in August of 2016. 2017, that's right. August of 2017. It's hard because I'm working on products for 2020 and 2021 right now, so it's really hard to keep in mind what's going on where. So August of 2017 is when I was handed a school bus model, which looked like this. Not this, actually. This is just 2 kids playing. This is the part where I'm supposed to talk about the experience. So basically, what Hidden Side is that we're making a new physical digital play theme where we have physical toys that have interactive features on them that will result in interactions and events in a game by using AR technology. No questions until later. So next slide. This is one of the original sketch models for the school bus. For Hidden Side, we started off with a lot more different types of monsters, and then we kind of dialed it back to just the ghosts because that was kind of the focus for the AR. So this had a lot of like stuff on it that we don't really need for fighting ghosts, and maybe it looks a little bit over the top if you're just going to be going after basically civilians. So we dialed it back a little bit. So this is one of the, once we set the price point and the budget, I had a first shot at just trying to figure out what the new expression for this bus would be. So we dialed it back a little bit and we made it more in scale with normal LEGO sets. So it's no longer 12 modules wide, and it kind of doesn't look like it's just there to run over people. So it had a lot of features in the beginning that were taken out at some point. So this, in the front, there used to be a Frankenstein character that slept in the engine compartment. So you pull him out and he'd become part of one of the AR experiences. Again, because we wanted to start small, focus just on ghosts, see what guys kind of gotten rid of. And one of the things about AR is that from a very early point, we realized that we needed to keep the model as intact as possible for the play experience. So there couldn't be too many moving parts that we couldn't properly register. So the software that we use uses visual cues for figuring out where the model is. So it uses sharp edges, corners, contrasts, that kind of stuff in order to figure out where the physical product is, like the whole toy. And then from that point on, that's what we use most of the processing power on. And then from that point, we can determine specific locations where we can have colors come out. So a lot of the things that move specifically for the AR, they move to an end stop and then they have a color there. So it won't be looking for that entire part that just moved, it just looks for the color specifically. And therefore we can keep all of our processing power on looking for that, for the main set. So all the other parts are kind of ignored until they are triggered by an event. So I could not take the roof off of this bus because I would change the silhouette of the set too much, and the technology could no longer follow where the bus went. So I wanted to still be able to play with all the stuff that's in the inside, because otherwise just have a bus you can't play with. So this is some of the inside parts that you could pull out. You can kind of pull the guts of the bus out, and you can still play with the bus, and you can still play with the inside separately. And this is a big direction that we try to stick to as much as possible from the beginning. So this is one of the earlier labs on the inside. So once we figured that kind of stuff out, we wanted to look more for expression, and we wanted to see what is that hidden side style. So we put some more of the bars back in, and I ended up jacking the back up a little bit and having really big wheels on that were introduced by the Lego Movie, which are some really, really nice new truck tires, and I thought they look awesome on this. Also some of the more engine parts came out, and basically this is me going back and forth between talking to tech people. This is still very early on. So we're talking to tech people and also talking to style people, and make sure that we're balancing both. So once the actual shape of the bus was done, or kind of picked, we ended up looking a lot at what the technology looks like, and how are these kids going to be capturing the ghosts. So I worked a lot on exploration for the different tools that they use, some Tesla coils, like a big spotlight, and then a weird portal thing that had a lot of importance in the beginning that we ended up stripping out of it to keep the story more simple and straightforward. So this is me basically going nuts. This is one of the last meetings we had before we actually went into production for the software, where I was like, hey, I can give you all these things, I can them out. I mean, you can play with all these things individually. How do you feel about that? And then the tech team was like, you know what, maybe we should just stick to making it one thing that you play with and you pull levers on, and that makes a lot more sense. That way you don't just lose half of this, and then you're just like, oh, I need my Tesla coil, and I have no idea where it is. So this was basically me saying, I need a clear direction for taking this further, and that is what we came up with this. Whenever you see any of these Lego sets that have scribblings on them, that's not because I'm just bored and I just want to draw on things. These are ones that went into the oven. So that says right here, HT stands for heat test. So this is every model that we make has to go through this process, and this is one of those models. I often take pictures way at the end. They just have a big box and I throw everything in. So I never take pictures before we test anything. So this one has one of the prototypes for the door that the actual bus has. It has a door on either side, and they can fold open to reveal. One more. Sorry, this is animated in the original presentation. To reveal a green surface here, which we will be able to consistently recognize with the app. So this is again what I'm talking about. We'll be looking for all of this shape except for the door. And then once the door is folded out, this green part, it will be looking for a point in space that correlates to that thing, to that thing. So it will look for the green part in space. Once that was done, we have a version with both the doors on, and this is kind of as close to the current version. It's getting really close at this point. So we have the doors. It's actually really weird because it's very squished because of the projector, but it's. I'm just very confused right now because I don't recognize it anymore. So this is the version with both doors on it, and at this point we have a radar dish on top, which used to be a point in space around that turntable that we look for a blue part. And then on that point we realized that it was a really good way to have physical interaction on all the sets by having a turntable with different colors on it. And in my case that ended up becoming the radar dish. Let me get to the next slide. That's actually not. The next slide we'll talk more about what is actually going on. Sorry. So this is me exploring the technology angle for it, because all the hidden side sets are so different that we needed to find a way to tie together the good guy sets. The bad guys, they're all ghosts. They have the possessed pieces. They have all the transparent and bright green pieces. So that was really easy to decode. But we found from testing that the kids had some hard time figuring out who belonged to who as far as good guys go. So I was tasked to explore a bunch of different options. Just go one further. Wow, okay, I didn't realize I had this many in there. I think it's There we go. So I had a bunch of different styles, and it ranged from like really junky, where it was very homemade, to slightly more tech direction, and then very sci-fi direction. So because all the tech is made by a character called JB, which is a scientist, which I'm sure most of you are aware of right now who this character is, because of something that happened on Twitter. She is kind of the cool adult helping out the kids. She works at the school as like an IT, so we wanted to basically make it look cool, but still cobble together a little bit. So it's got a lot of the hazard striping, and it still looks kind of lopsided sometimes, but it's got like some flair, and it's got paint. Like she's got style, basically. And that went then on top of the final version of the bus. One of the things, I mean, that is the logical conclusion for that part of the presentation. I'm sorry. There's the color wheel discussion always kind of throws me off. This I found personally to be very important because I'm a toy designer, and I want to make sure that when I deliver a toy, it is fun to play with whether or not you have a smartphone in your hand. So this guy, who during development went by many names, such as the Defecator, or I don't actually know if he has a final name. He might not have gotten a final name, but he's called the Defecator, the Polter Potty, I think that's right. And so very early on, we figured out that we need to have some kind of conflict for this bus, because it's such a big bus, you need to have a reason to actually have it out in town. So they're in this case, they're encountering some possessed construction workers, and construction workers have like, this is a sign here with a sticker on it. Actually, you can't see it, but and then 2 traffic cones. So basically, what's happening here is that they're combining, because I love combining robots. So I was just like, sure, we can make a combining robot in this too. So it switches from just a very normal-looking porta potty into the horrible death.
Yeah.
So this is the original sketch model. So it has really mean-looking eyes that turned out to be way too spooky. We ended up having just a round printed tile instead for his eye. But this is the original version. So it has like a weird, just 2 teeth thing going on instead of the 3. And this tested really, really well with kids, obviously. And especially when we ended up putting in the disc shooter, which shoots 2x2 round tiles and brown for some reason.
Oh.
He's a ghost. He shoots ghost stuff. I'm sure it's nothing weird. All right, the part where everybody looks forward to. This is the sticker sheet. Everybody loves stickers, right?
Woo!
All right, so when I worked on this project, I got to work with another person that I've never worked with before, Andre, and he worked at Lego for a very long time. If you take the next slide. This guy. So when I was about 4, I was really stressed out because I saw my parents go to work every day, and I was like, do I need to at some point go to work? And my parents were like, yeah, that's normally how that works. And I was like, I just want to build Lego. Like, I don't want to do anything else. And then my parents were like, well, here's this book. It was called The Ultimate Lego Book. And on one of the pages, it had this picture of Andre working in Billund, in a building we still actually have for now. I think it's going to get torn down like in a year from now, but right now it still exists. And he is designing Rock Raiders, which is one of my favorite Lego themes growing up as a kid. So this picture kind of carried me through childhood, into school, into high school, and through college, where I was like, that's it, that's the picture, that's what we're going for. So since I was 4, I wanted to be a Lego designer, and I never really gave up on that. So this picture is a very powerful picture for me. And when I met him in real life, it was quite strange, I'll tell you that. So he worked on both Rock Raiders and Bionicle, which are 2 of my favorite Lego themes from back in the day. So I asked him, hey, are you cool with putting in some like cool Easter eggs? He was my graphic designer on this project, so I was like, can we put in like some Bionicle Easter eggs, maybe some Rock Raiders? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, that's great, I love this idea. So basically we compiled like a list of different things we wanted to do, and we ended up putting, I think, 3 references in there total. So first one is the Granite Grinder, which is one of my favorite sets because it has a big shiny drill on it. And I love drills and I love robots, so it's perfect. So over here we've got GG, which does not stand for good game, but it could, because she's also playing video games, and she's I'm sure she's just that down with the kids that she'd have GG on her license plate. And that's the set number for the Granite Grinder, which is actually a set that he worked on. And then up there is the Rock Raiders logo, which is a little bumper sticker for the bus itself. And then the one everybody's been waiting for, she is. In the original script, I don't know how it turned out in the end, she is 25 years old, so I'm 25 years old. I love Bionicle. So I was like, perfect, we'll have her play a Bionicle video game. And I decided to just pick whatever Bionicle video game I could find, and this one worked quite well. So we ended up putting it on the secondary screen. So while she's hunting for ghosts on this computer here using the radar, she's also just playing some Bionicle game off on the side. And I was very excited to do this, and for me it was amazing to in this way pay back to what has gotten me all this way, because it's been a long way getting from child to here, and I'm extremely excited and happy that I get to contribute in some way to the legacy of the LEGO product line, and I think this is a good way to do it by paying homage to some of the things that people love the most. So that's it. That's the whole set. You can get it today at the LEGO store near you, which I think is Tyson's Corner here, which I hope I can go to some point. I want to buy some. I think that's it. Thank you. Just one more thing real quick. When I say that, like, it looks just like text, but I honestly mean it. If it wasn't for you, people that love our product, there's no way at all, I was going to say something about that. No way in heck that I would be flying here to talk to you guys and be allowed to literally build LEGO toys for a living. Like, there's some hard parts, but it is literally, it is absolutely my pleasure, and I'm so thankful for fans and for people that care about our products enough to support us. So thank you so much. That out of the way. Any snide questions? Because I'm ready.
I have to ask, one of the kids playing with the toy had a certain Galidor t-shirt on. Was that intentional at all?
He did?
Yeah, he had the Nick Bluetooth shirt on.
Oh, right, yeah, for the promotional material?
Yeah,
I was not involved in any of the promotional material. I'm just
okay.
But I was very happy when I saw it.
Yeah.
I think it's just coming back. I think 2002 fashion is just really hot right now. I can see in the audience. I see one right there. Which, next question. What? Oh, that was it. Okay, great. I'm glad that's I think a lot of people are really interested in this one kid. What's up?
For ideas, how often do you look at the fan model to help you and influence yours?
Right, so basically for this presentation I wanted to focus more on hidden side, so that's why I kind of skipped through that part. In order to properly greenlight a project like this, we need to internally figure it out. So I was part of feasibility check. I need to make sure that we could actually do this before we approach the fan. So I built an entire structure that was totally different from his, because when we looked at the original version and we talked to MCC, they're just like, we can't do this. This is going to fall apart. So we built a copy, and it didn't work. It didn't hold up on its own. Which is not to say that it's bad. Our product has to have a certain requirement, which is why I pushed so hard for the 18-inch model. They really were excited to go for a smaller version, but the 18-inch model was his vision for this product. And I think in the end of the day, it's important to stick to the original vision. Even if we can't keep any of the original pieces, I managed to keep the cross and the chest built similarly, and actually we had a lot of interaction once we got the green light and we were allowed to talk to people outside of the company about this product. I was actually allowed to start talking to Lenny about it. Actually before then, I was a big fan of Lenny's. I follow all of his pages on Instagram and on Facebook, so it was great to read through his updates while working on it, because he had continuously updated the heads of the lines, which is the area he was most interested in. So once we actually got talking, I actually asked him a lot of feedback on the head specifically, because that's something that we can clad onto the structure of the line. So I guess I take very much pride in making the structure, and he is very much the visionary behind everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's very different from ideas to idea set, because some of the ones we can quite easily just take almost one-to-one, right, as far as expression goes, but once you change the whole structure of the inside, once you take out the knees, once you take out the hips, once you take out the ankle joints, things start looking a little bit different. And I like to think that we achieved his original vision. And I can't speak for him, but I've talked to him, and he seems to be quite pleased with the end result. What makes me most happy is the fact that his VOLTRON now has the new version of the chest in his version. So he's kept all the other parts, which is great. Also made the color change that he needed for his Voltron, because the golden tie iron didn't actually exist at that point. So it's in the set now. And he's like, I really like the way you built the chest. I'll now make my version with that version of the chest. So I like to think it was very much a collaborative effort, and it's always hard from the outside to see how that's reflected in the design. But yeah, LEGO Ideas, it's not an easy theme to work for, because you're not only working with an IP partner and all of our normal quality restraints and VI, but also you want to stick to the idea of the original frame. And that's why I kept gunning for the 18-inch Voltron instead of the smaller one. Over there? You might have to come over here, because otherwise I can't hear you. Yes. Yeah. No. If you're tired of the game, you can take it apart. Just like any other LEGO model, if you're tired of playing the narrative that's presented within this LEGO set, you can take it apart and build your own thing. It just won't work with the app anymore. Yeah, no, basically anything is up in the air right now. We're going to see how this does, and if it does well enough, maybe there'll be more, maybe there won't be. As far as technology goes, I'm interaction and model designer, so not so much the tech side. So I can't talk to you specifically about tech things. But yeah, the technology there was a reason why we worked on it for like 2.5 years before we were actually like satisfied and rolled out to the world. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry. Yes, feasibility check.
As someone who's been building LEGO sets for a long time, there was a while, 15, 12 years ago, where sets were not staying.
I was 13 back then.
Yeah,
so
and it was, my kids were younger then too, and it was very frustrating for them. And
Yeah.
I've noticed over the last few years especially, when you build some of these things, they are tight. They do not fall apart. You drop them, smash them.
We do a lot of kids testing with the actual, so before any model goes actually into production, it goes through at least 2 kids tests where we literally just throw it for the wolves and the kids just go nuts with it, and anything that falls off.
It might be hard for you as a designer, but it really, I think, is appreciated by folks and kids.
I think it's mostly hard for me as a LEGO fan, where it's like, oh, but this little detail looks so good, and it's just suspended from like one stud, and it's like, no, lock it in. It's like, all right, there you go. Now as we go on top of it. But thank you, I appreciate it. We work very, I mean, it's the majority of our job is making sure that these are actual toys that you can play with. Any more? Over there?
As the mother of a young LEGO future possible, what you do, you go a little more in detail about your career path.
For sure. So, did everybody hear that question? Is that fine? Yes? Alright, I guess I'm just part of here. Just gonna look at how much time we have, because that's a pretty long story. So you want a career path advice, right, specifically? My career path is really weird because I started off as a kid and I just wanted to have a job, basically. So I had some early contacts with designers by going through like local events where people showed up and they were like excited to talk to kids. So this is a little bit of a little bit of tears. Basically, work hard, but make sure that you document your work. So if you have a lot of stuff that you like, take pictures of it and make sure that you document it in a good way. Design or arts education is great. Engineering is great too. But we have plenty of people that don't have that direction. I think the most important thing is having a drive and a passion for it, and making sure that you find a way to express that properly. Find a way to make sure that they understand that you want to make toys for kids. It's not just, oh, look at these sweet mocks I built. It's just like, no, I'm genuinely interested in making toys that will bring kids the same amount of joy that the toy brought to you. And I think that's a really important factor. And of course, being able to work within a team is very important, because nothing gets built by itself. We need different people with different skills to bring these things to reality. Yeah, just I think that's believe in yourself. Believe in yourself is the most important one. Keep going. Doesn't matter what happens. Yeah, for me it was just like I very early found out that industrial design would be a good way to get in, think I was like 9 or 10 when I figured that out. So I picked a high school path that would get me there, and when I finally had an industrial design for my bachelor, I had an internship at Lego, which I got at Lego Boost, working on the original Creative Toolbox. So because I had worked on projects within industrial design for kids and with technology, and I knew how to build Lego, they were like, this guy's great, let's get him on the team. Which then resulted in, that was only supposed to last for 6 months. So I was there for 6 months, and 3 months in, my boss was like, I like your drive, I like your passion, can we keep you for another 6 months? So then I got held for another 6 months, during which I got very close friends with Nick Vass, who's not here right now. He's here at the con, but he's doing some game instead of supporting his friend. And we made a play theme together during one of the weeks where we get to work on whatever we want. And this play theme caught the eye of some of their creatives in the concept lab, where they asked me if I was interested in continuing work on it as an intern, and I would be able to write my bachelor thesis while working at Lego. So I could finish my education, and that way I managed to land a job about 2 months before I probably finished graduation. So I had a load of double work that was going on, but basically work hard and express your passion for things. It's very important to never play it cool, ever. And always, like, if you can be a huge geek about something, definitely do. And it's important to show the people that are employing that you are really passionate and good. So don't turn into a stand of like designers, like, oh, I made this and I made this and I made this. Like, no, I made this, look at it, it's sweet. Be excited about the things you make. Yes, sorry, did that answer your question? Keep going, I believe in you.
So, in your talking, you just mentioned the phrase play week?
Yeah, so it's like a boost week where we have all designers basically get a week off. We just have to come into work, but we get to work on something that we make up ourselves. And if it's good enough, it actually sometimes manages to make it to production. Not very often, of course, because there's a lot of other things going on behind the scenes. But for instance, Brickheads and Mighty Micros are both concepts that came out of the Creative Boost week that ended up on shelves. So was the UCS Hogwarts, the big microscope one. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. Anyone else? Great, and I think that concludes the presentation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.